It's the big show. Yes, it's a big bad show tonight. It's the big show. Yes, it's a big bad show tonight.
This is Dan White from Appling, Georgia, coming to you from Columbia County, Georgia's Patriot Park, near my home in Appling. Patriots Park has a 6-mile nature walking trail that I enjoy and a 15,000 square foot state-of-the-art gym with exercise and weight equipment that we also use. The park has 130 acres. It's one of the premier parks in the state of Georgia. This park has hosted the Dixie Girls Fast Pitch Softball World Series and 5 Dixie World Series tournaments. And I'm friends with the now retired County Recreation Director, Charlie Beal, who had the vision for this world-class park that now has over 50,000 visitors per month in the spring and summer. Well, enough of my county pride. Let's talk about the Miami at Clemson game. I want you to stick around to the end. I have family ties to Clemson football that goes all the way back to 1896, and I'm going to tell you about that. Miami travels to Clemson's Death Valley this Saturday, November the 19th, 2022, for a game to be broadcast nationally on ESPN at 3:30. Now, this is a cross ACC conference game. Miami plays in the Coastal and Clemson plays in the Atlantic. Clemson is 9-1 and ranked 9th in the nation. Their only loss coming in a 35-14 upset at Notre Dame on November the 5th. Clemson has defeated 3 ranked teams, 3 of them. Wake Forest, they've defeated North Carolina State and Syracuse. Now, Miami is 5-5, which includes an embarrassing, humiliating loss, 45-13 to Middle Tennessee, and a beatdown by Florida State, 45-3. But the Canes bounced back. You got to hand it to them. They bounced back and played a complete game in Atlanta against Georgia Tech, winning convincingly 35-14. And that video of my review of the Georgia Tech-Miami game is on YouTube. Before the Tech game, Miami had gone 9 quarters without a touchdown. Upperclassmen at Clemson versus the freshmen and sophomores at Miami. That's the way I see it. Clemson is an upperclassman-laden team, and Mario Cristobal has gone with freshmen and sophomores. Our last win over Clemson was way back in 2010. Now, Clemson has 43 consecutive home wins, and that's quite something to brag about, I guess. That's a lot, but not as many as our Hurricanes had back in the glory days from 1985 to 1995, when Miami won 58 consecutive home games. That is a record that still stands today, and in my opinion, is not likely to be broken. Now, let's look at a few of Clemson's standout players on offense. They are led by California. He's a junior quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. He's completed 196 passes on 300 attempts for 2,179 yards and 19 touchdowns. His completion rate is 65.3% and is ranked 10th in the nation by CBS Sports. Plus, he's racked up 405 rushing yards and scored 5 touchdowns. He's second on the Clemson team in rushing yardage.
Here's Uiagalelei. He'll keep it. Looking for a block. Has it at the 5. Touchdown, Tigers.
Now, Miami has struggled against running quarterbacks. So Miami must contain him and cannot give up the big plays. Their running back is sophomore Will Shipley. Coach Kevin Steele said he is one of the premier backs in the country, and it's no wonder. Shipley is on pace for a 1,000-yard season and currently has 899 yards plus 12 touchdowns. He's averaging 5.8 yards per carry.
1st and 14 after they step it off. Shipley fires ahead. At the 10, he hurdled a man. Touchdown.
Oh, my.
Now, Clemson has rushed for over 200 yards this season 3 times, I believe. Clemson is very talented and deep. If they have a weakness, Clemson has a weakness. I don't know about it. I hadn't read about it. I hadn't seen anything on YouTube about it. On defense, Clemson is tough to run against, and they've had 27 sacks this season.
New life for Louisville. Trailing 10-0 and in trouble and dropped.
On the other hand, Miami's in a quarterback quandary. As you know, Tyler Van Dyke injured his right shoulder in the Duke game, but before he went down, he had a respectable 1,761 yards. It's just a shame he got injured. He would be up way over the 2,000 mark, I'm sure. Now, offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis then put in Jake Garcia. Jake Garcia came in late in the first half of the Duke game for the injured Van Dyke. Garcia, God bless his heart. He threw 3 interceptions and fumbled twice in the Duke game that Miami lost 45-21. Now, Gaddis had no choice but to start third-string dual-threat freshman quarterback Ja'Cory Brown in the Tech game, and Ja'Cory Brown, the freshman, led Miami to a 35-14 victory in his very first start. He completed 14 of 19 attempts plus 3 touchdowns. An amazing performance by the freshman in his first start.
Pride in their attitude, and the attitude has been there by this offensive line here early, winning the battles.
Brown, open man inside the 10 and into the end zone. Will Mallory was wide open, 22 yards and a touchdown pass from the freshman Ja'Cory Brown.
He will no doubt start against Clemson unless Van Dyke is completely healed from his shoulder injury. Plus, Ja'Cory Brown was second on the team in rushing yardage against Tech. He had 87 yards rushing behind Jalen Knighton, who rushed for 118 yards and a touchdown. Now, Knighton is second on the team with 341 rushing yards behind Ole Miss transfer Henry Parrish Jr., who has 569 yards. The receiving category, tight end Will Mallory is Miami's leader with 393 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. He was mysteriously not used in the Tech game, making only 1 catch for 22 yards and a touchdown. Sophomore Colby Young had been steady receiver with 27 receptions and 351 yards and 4 touchdowns in 5 games. He's Miami's second leading receiver. Now, Clemson transfer junior Frank Ladson Jr., who transferred to Miami from Clemson, has also performed well with 298 receiving yards and a touchdown. On defense, junior linebacker Corey Flagg Jr. leads the team in tackles with 54, and he has 2.5 sacks. Flagg is followed by sophomore James Williams with 40 tackles. And that brings me to the phenomenal sophomore safety Cam Kitchens, who had 3 interceptions, 3 against the Yellow Jackets, and a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. He has 6 total interceptions for the season.
Nation of domination. Nation of domination. We are the nation. Nation of domination. Nation of domination. We are the nation.
I'll also have some pregame presser clips from Clemson coach Dabo Swinney and our coach Mario Cristobal. As promised, here is my direct family connection with Clemson. My great uncle, James Darby White, played on Clemson's very first football team in 1896. That football team with my great uncle went 2-1. They won against Wofford, they won against Furman, and lost to South Carolina. And here's the picture. And my nephew, Philip White, was a manager for the Clemson football team when he was a student there. And he's well acquainted with Coach Dabo Swinney. And here's his picture. As always, thank you for watching. God bless you, and go Canes! First, we'll hear a little of the press conference from Dabo Swinney.
Again, stay on track and got another big challenge. You know, Miami's coming off a really good win against Georgia Tech. There's a lot of unknowns with Miami. You know, when you really study them and you try to get ready. I mean, they've played 3 quarterbacks, and you know they're all a little different. They got good running backs. They'll probably get 21 back this week. He's their leading rusher, but 4 is a really good player, and 22 as well. They're long on the edge. A couple big receivers. Obviously, Frank Latson, big-bodied receiver that we know that can really run. 88's another guy. They've involved their tight ends well. Last week, went to a different quarterback, and, it was a lot of quarterback run and some RPO stuff and some screen game built into it. So, just, again, a lot of unknowns as we get ready for this team.
To conclude, here are a few words from Coach Mario Cristobal.
Impressive football program from top to bottom, from a cultural standpoint, personnel standpoint, coaching standpoint, a lot of continuity over the years as a staff, and one that they made a conscious decision, about 15 years ago, that they were going to invest in football, that they were going to do whatever it took to get them on the national stage and as a prominent player, and they did so, and they've done an unbelievable job representing their university and the ACC conference. They're elite up front. They really are, on both sides of the ball. Their front 7 is thick, powerful, explosive, extremely large, rangy, athletic. I mentioned powerful because they just make a dent in the line of scrimmage and they run. They all run to the football. They get there with the right disposition. And then on the offensive side, they've invested heavily as well in the offensive line. Big, powerful guys that move the line of scrimmage, protect the quarterback really well, and they move the other guys on the other side of the ball. All in all, this is a tremendous test. This is the most talented team, one of the most talented teams that you'll see in the entire country, and certainly one that our guys are really looking forward to playing against.
Well, that'll do it. Thank you so much for watching, and go Canes. Beat Clemson.